Welcome to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. I'm Sarah Pugh, the Executive Director of the Madison County Chamber of Commerce. Each episode spotlights the people, businesses, and nonprofits that make our community thrive while sharing the stories behind what they do. We're looking forward to learning more about their story and their connection to Madison County. Today, I'm here with Brooke with Shannon Designs. Thank you for being here, Brooke.
Well, thanks for having me.
And who do you have with you today?
And I have the store mascot, Echo, who is a Llewellyn setter, who is 3.5 years old, which I will never forget because her birthday is the same as mine.
Oh.
So now I'll remember how old I am because I'm exactly 50 years older than she is.
Oh, well, she is just so sweet. I'm so thrilled to have you both here today. So tell me a little bit about you, your family, and Shannon Designs.
Okay. Well, my husband is the reason that we moved here from Wisconsin. He went to graduate school in Wisconsin. And so we decided Wisconsin was great, but he needed a career change. And so his mother started sending us, back in the day, newspaper clippings from the classifieds.
Okay.
And so he got a job offer in the Des Moines area, which is where he was from. So not totally foreign. And I thought I can live anywhere. So here we moved to Wisconsin, or to Iowa from Wisconsin. And I knew topography was a big deal for me, what the outdoors was. So I knew I couldn't live further north where the cornfields are. So Madison County drew us in because of its beauty and proximity to Des Moines. So I originally worked for some other jewelers in the Des Moines area before I realized life is short and I am bored and I want to do my own thing. So I obviously am a control freak and needed to control my life. So I am my own boss and it's only me. So if anything goes wrong, it's my fault. So I started my store in Winterset. I initially started in a little tiny, initially I started in my barn tack room. And that's where I started making my jewelry. And I did some art fairs here and there. And then I saw a little rental space just off the square, a single room, no bathroom. And I thought, well, I can just take appointments there, which I did. And then the Covered Bridges Festival came, the first one I was in present for, and it snowed. And so I took a break. I walked around and I saw a for rent sign in the building that I'm currently in. And it was open to the square, on the corner, gorgeous lighting, gorgeous windows, historical, hadn't had a whole lot done to it, so it still had original flair. So I could add a little bit of modern flair with my cases and lighting. And so here I am about 18 years later.
18 years. Mm-hmm. Wow. So how did you first get interested into jewelry?
Well, my mother was an art major. She actually went to the University of Iowa. So wasn't too far off that I end up in Iowa, but so I was surrounded by art and she did kind of just a little bit of everything. But so then when I was younger, I was into fashion and I played with beads. So that, is the easiest jewelry form to start in on, is just buying up beads and doing earrings, doing necklaces, etc. So that started it. Then I went to the University of Kansas for my undergraduate, initially thinking I was going to be a theater major. Well, then I pretty quickly realized that is really competitive and I'm not sure I'm that good. So I was already in the art field at University of Kansas and I found out they had a jewelry metalsmithing program. And I'm like, oh, that sounds very interesting. So sure enough, it was a great program and actually really well known and regarded for a 4-year university, which not a lot of state schools offer that kind of elevated program. And it just worked out that that's what I fell into. And here I am.
So how has your artistic style kind of evolved over the last 18 years?
It's probably become a little more refined. And part of that is just experience. I had a lot of good mentors before I came and started on my own. So initially, it was probably a little more organic feeling. And plus in school, you're taught to not have any parameters. So my mother always said my jewelry looked very much like weapons. So I was very dramatic. So I've probably scaled back a little bit and just become more refined and more of a fine jeweler. I revert back to just simple beaded earrings every once in a while. So really do a mix, anywhere from fine diamond engagement rings to funky sterling silver agate rings or anything else in between.
So when you start a new piece, where does that inspiration usually come from?
A lot of architecture, actually, which I always said I would have been an architecture major if I'd had the math skills. So architecture, a lot of nature, actually, organic things, and it's more the form of it, not taking things literally so much, but my husband can be taking apart the brakes on an old truck and I'll see parts laying on the floor and that'll inspire me, like that half curve or those rivets will, translate into a piece of jewelry sometimes.
All right. Can you walk us through the custom jewelry process? So if someone were to come to you with an idea, what is the process you would go through with that customer?
Good question. So I will start with what most commonly happens is someone will come in with their family heirloom piece or an old ring that they never wear anymore, and it usually has a gemstone in it. So assuming the gemstone is usable and in good shape, which I evaluate that, we can start from scratch and completely design something, whether it be a brooch, earrings, pendant, another ring, whatever their heart desires. What I usually do is get a feel for what they like. So I will have them probably look through my cases. Is there anything that inspires them or that they like? And I say, don't worry about if your stone fits, just I want to get an idea of what their style is. I can always interject my own style, but I like to get from them first how tuned in are they to what they already think they want. And if they don't have any idea, then I'm happy to just start from scratch with my own ideas. Otherwise, I have a lot of loose gemstones that people can choose from, and then we create a new piece usually based around the stone. That's a good starting point. And then sometimes I do a wax model and they get to actually see that and try it on. And then that converts into the metal through a casting process. Or sometimes I fabricate from raw metal. It just depends on the design, really.
Wow, that's very cool. How long do your custom projects typically take?
Depending on if I have a gemstone in stock or if I have to seek one out. For example, one of my customers wants a ruby engagement ring. So I'm actually searching for that perfect ruby for them. I have some in stock, but I'm not satisfied with what I have. So if I already have the stone, and depending on how often they maybe need to come in for modifications, anywhere from 2 weeks to probably at the most a month, depending on the time of year, of course. Christmas is a little different story.
So you mentioned an engagement ring. A lot of jewelry marks special moments in people's lives. And what does that mean to you to create pieces that are tied to those milestones?
I am so flattered. I am constantly flattered and amazed when people want me to do something for them that is so meaningful. On that note, a lot of things that I get are the rings of people's parents that have passed on, and they want something done with those rings. And in that case, I keep them in the most raw state that I can. I may cut them, I may bend them, maybe add something to them, but that sentiment, I'm just honored that they let me and a lot of times in that case, they'll just let me do what I think is best. They don't know what it could be. So I say, well, can I surprise you? And they're usually surprised and love it. And I have several people that they wear that piece daily. So that is probably one of the things, just very flattered and honored that people put their trust in me. And I think that's another reason I really enjoy having it just be me. And it all falls on my shoulders. And so if something's not right, I'm going to work with you to make it right. And if something is right away, then yay, we're all clapping.
Do you have a memorable story about a custom piece that you've created for someone?
Yes. There was an older woman who came in one time and she brought her deceased husband's wedding ring in. The story behind it, before I even did anything to it, was miraculous in that she had had an injury. And let me back up. Her husband, before he passed, had an issue to where he had to be life flighted. And during that flight, he lost his ring. His ring fell off his finger. They didn't know where or how, but he passed away after that, and she didn't know where his ring ended up. Several years later, someone on that flight, a pilot, had found his ring in the helicopter, in the life flight helicopter. And through their deductions, they figured out it belonged to this man. And they showed up at this woman's doorstep with this ring years later. What? And so she had me do something with that ring for her from her husband. So that was probably, it wasn't so much the piece, it was the story.
The journey.
Yes. Yeah. And I get that a lot. I get a lot of people that have found something that they thought they had lost years ago, whether it be a stone, they found it in the ice box or, and it fell out of their ring. So that I think is one of the most interesting parts of my career, is hearing the stories that become pretty miraculous of things that are lost and then found.
Mm-hmm. When someone walks into your gallery on the square, what do you hope they experience?
I hope they get to see something that they didn't think they would see in a town like Winterset. I get comments quite often that people walk in and they're very surprised at, the display cases or the type of jewelry it is in the middle of small town Iowa. I am influenced by high design and, very international design and influences. And so maybe that is translated, and people are quite shocked to see the quality and caliber of art that's here in the middle of the country.
And you also feature other artists in your shop too.
I do. I typically do not feature other jewelers. However, I do have a scattering of vintage jewelry and American Indian jewelry because I have a thing for turquoise. So I do have a few antique vintage American Indian pieces and other vintage, but mostly pottery and some artwork and glasswork from another local glass artist here in Winterset, and several pottery artists because I have a thing for pottery too. Although I don't make it, I appreciate it. So yeah, I try to feature a few little interesting tidbits here and there.
How has Madison County supported your business over the years?
I don't want to say shockingly because I never had an expectation when I moved here, but I just had this faith that Winterset and Madison County was growing and more artists were coming in, more unique things were coming in, but wineries, quilting, everything that was already here, but it just started exploding. And so I think timing, I was very lucky in that Madison County was very supportive of the arts in general, and everything has exponentially grown since I opened up. And, timing is everything.
What are you excited about right now in your work?
I'm excited that the holiday season has come to an end and I can just create whatever I want to create. I love doing custom stuff, and luckily I'm constantly doing custom projects for people. But once the holidays are over, that pace slows down. So in between the custom pieces for customers, I can do my own custom pieces for the case. So I try not to limit myself by thinking about what is someone else going to like? How is it going to fit them? I just get to do whatever I want. And if someone comes in and it happens to trip their trigger and they love it, then they can just buy it right out of the case. And I move on to the next different, strange, unique thing.
Do you have any upcoming events or special things happening at your gallery?
I don't have anything planned with just my store in particular. However, I always look forward to the wine walk, look forward to Mother's Day, look forward to just spring in general. But any of the events that are around town, I just join in with the rest of the merchants. And I don't have anything individually planned. Every once in a while, I do a gem show, so it's just loose gems throughout the store, but I don't do that very often because I want it to be a special thing. So we may or may not have that this fall.
Very fun. So stay tuned for more. What have you learned about your business, about yourself as a business owner over these 18 years?
Well, I have to bring my husband into this again because he says I have a problem with authority. So I am my own authority. And I think the one thing that I've learned is as much as I love to work with other people, I have to have my solitary time because when I'm working and creating, interruptions are just the worst. So having the time where it's customers come in, and then I may have 2 hours where nobody walks through the door, and that's the time that I'm able to create and focus. So I think that's what I've learned is that I have to have my quiet time with no interruptions. So sometimes I'm working when I'm not open to the public, so I don't get any interruptions.
Yeah. If someone in Madison County is thinking about opening a business, what advice would you give them?
I would say seek out the Chamber of Commerce. Seek out other business owners and get their input and get their knowledge and what recommendations they would give, because every business is going to be different. But I think collectively in Winterset, everybody's here to help everybody else. So I think getting opinions from other people only helps. Not that you have to take every opinion, but I think talking to other people is what I would recommend.
There's so many people that have gone through many years of business like yourself that help out those new people.
We're lucky to have a lot of small business owners here, especially around the square, but in the whole county. And I think that's what keeps people coming here is they know they're going to find something unique.
Yeah, very good. Do you have a website? Are you on Facebook? What kind of platforms can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I do have a website that I actually started right away when I started my business. So, the social media thing has really blown up since I started the business. Before it was just really relying on Facebook and all the LinkedIn and other platforms. But it's just me. So I actually have enlisted the help of a friend recently to manage social media a little more because I just don't have time to do it all.
Yeah.
So I am learning that there's only so much time in the day. So yes, but Facebook, Instagram, and my website, those are my main outlets.
And what's your website address?
Website is bshannondesigns.com.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Echo. She did great.
She didn't even bark once.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Bridging the Gap, the Madison County Chamber of Commerce podcast, where Madison County's stories and businesses connect. We hope today's conversation gave you a deeper look at the people and passion behind our local community. To learn more about today's guest, visit their website, and for more chamber events, membership, or resources, visit www.madisoncounty.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, and join us next time as we continue bridging the gap across Madison County.